In January 2025, the United States imposed 25% tariffs on steel and aluminum imports. Two countries got hit the hardest: South Korea and Mexico. Both exported over $20 billion worth of these materials to the U.S. every year. 6 months later, Mexico's manufacturing sector had contracted by 14%. Unemployment hit 6.8%. The peso lost 22% of its value against the dollar. South Korea? GDP growth accelerated to 3.1%. Unemployment dropped to 2.4%. The won strengthened. Same tariffs, same timeline, completely opposite outcomes. What happened in those 6 months, and what does it tell us about which countries will win and lose in this new era of economic nationalism? This is the story of two countries, one policy shock, and the decision that changed everything. Before January 2025, both South Korea and Mexico were deeply integrated into the American supply chain. Mexico exported $467 billion worth of goods to the United States in 2024. That's 83% of Mexico's total exports. Cars, electronics, appliances. If you bought it in America, there was a good chance a Mexican factory had a hand in making it. South Korea exported $116 billion to the U.S. in 2024. Only 15% of its total exports, but those exports were concentrated in exactly the wrong industries: steel, aluminum, semiconductors, cars, the products Trump's administration was targeting. Both countries had built their modern economies around access to the American market: Mexico through NAFTA, then USMCA, South Korea through decades of trade agreements dating back to the Korean War. When the tariffs hit on January 15, 2025, both countries faced the same problem. Their biggest customer had just made their products 25% more expensive overnight. On January 20, 2025, Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum held an emergency meeting with Mexico's largest manufacturers. The question: do we fight back or do we negotiate? Mexico chose negotiation. Sheinbaum announced Mexico would not retaliate with counter-tariffs. Instead, Mexico would work with Washington to reduce the tariffs through compliance with new labor and environmental standards. The logic seemed sound. Mexico's economy was 83% dependent on U.S. trade. Fighting back would be economic suicide. Better to keep the relationship intact and hope for a deal. For 3 months, Mexico waited. Mexican manufacturers slowed production, hoping tariffs would be lifted. Foreign investors pulled back, waiting for certainty. The peso weakened as capital fled to safer markets. By April 2025, no deal had materialized. The tariffs remained at 25%, and Mexico's manufacturing output had dropped 14% compared to January. South Korea made the opposite choice. On January 22, 2025, just 7 days after the tariffs hit, South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol announced the Asia First Initiative, a $50 billion fund to redirect Korean exports away from the United States and toward Southeast Asia, India, and the EU. It was a massive gamble. South Korea was betting it could replace 15% of its export market in less than a year. Most economists said it was impossible.
Here's what South Korea did that Mexico couldn't. First, the semiconductor advantage. In 2024, South Korea controlled 64% of global memory chip production through Samsung and SK Hynix. When U.S. buyers balked at the 25% price increase, South Korean firms simply redirected supply to European automakers and Chinese phone manufacturers who were desperate for chips. Within 60 days, South Korean chip exports to the EU increased by 47%. Exports to China increased by 31%. Second, the manufacturing pivot. Korean automaker Hyundai announced it would shift production from its Alabama plant to new facilities in the Czech Republic and Indonesia. By June 2025, Hyundai had broken ground on 3 new factories outside the U.S. Third, and this is critical, South Korea's currency flexibility. The Bank of Korea allowed the won to depreciate 8% against the dollar between January and March. This made Korean exports cheaper for non-U.S. buyers, offsetting some of the lost American business. Mexico couldn't do this. The peso's value is tied to the U.S. economy through USMCA, and because 80% of Mexican exports go to America. A weaker peso just makes imports more expensive for Mexican consumers without providing export relief. But the real difference wasn't policy, it was psychology. By July 2025, the results were undeniable. South Korea, Q2 2025 GDP growth 3.1%, up from 2.3% in Q1. Unemployment 2.4%, lowest since 2019. Exports to U.S. down 18%. Exports to ASEAN up 52%. Exports to EU up 41%. Won value up 3% against the dollar since April. Mexico, Q2 2025 GDP growth 0.3%, down from 2.1% in January. Unemployment 6.8%, up from 3.9% in January. Exports to U.S. down 11%. Exports to other markets up 2%. Peso value down 22% against the dollar since January. The gap was staggering. Mexico lost $23 billion in export revenue. South Korea lost $8 billion, but gained $19 billion from new markets. Net gain, $11 billion.
Here's the principle. Economic dependence creates paralysis. Mexico couldn't afford to pivot away from the U.S. because 83% of its exports went there. So when tariffs hit, Mexico had to accept them and hope for a better deal. That hope cost Mexico 6 months of growth. South Korea could pivot because only 15% of its exports went to the U.S. When tariffs hit, South Korea had room to maneuver. That flexibility turned a crisis into an opportunity. This isn't about which country is better, it's about structural constraints. Mexico built its economy around one customer. South Korea built its economy around diversified global demand. When your biggest customer changes the rules, diversity is the only protection. As of May 2026, the United States has imposed or threatened tariffs on 78 different product categories, affecting $2.3 trillion in global trade. Every country is now asking the same question Mexico and South Korea faced in January 2025. Do we negotiate or do we diversify? Countries choosing Mexico's path, negotiate and wait. Canada, tariff exemptions on 40% of goods, still negotiating on the rest. Japan, seeking special partnership status. European Union, trade talks ongoing, no resolution. Countries choosing South Korea's path, diversify immediately. Vietnam, building factories for Chinese and Korean firms leaving the U.S. market. India, fast-tracking trade deals with ASEAN, UK, and EU. Brazil, redirecting soybean and beef exports from U.S. to China. The pattern is clear. Countries with diversified export bases are weathering the tariff storm. Countries dependent on the U.S. market are struggling. But there's a second-order effect that's even more important. By choosing to diversify instead of negotiate, countries like South Korea, Vietnam, and India are forming new trade relationships that don't include the United States. In March 2026, ASEAN countries plus South Korea, Japan, and India signed the Asia-Pacific Trade Framework, a free trade zone covering 3.2 billion people and $25 trillion in GDP. The United States wasn't invited. This is what happens when you force your trade partners to choose. They choose each other. 20 years ago, every major trade deal involved the United States. Today, the fastest-growing trade agreements are explicitly designed to reduce dependence on the American market. South Korea versus Mexico wasn't just about two countries. It was a test case for the entire global economy. Can you survive without prioritizing American market access? South Korea proved the answer is yes, if you move fast enough. In January 2025, the United States imposed 25% tariffs on steel and aluminum. Mexico waited for a deal and lost 14% of its manufacturing output. South Korea diversified to Asia and Europe and grew its economy by 3.1%. The difference wasn't just policy, it was dependency. Mexico was trapped by its reliance on the U.S. market. South Korea had the flexibility to pivot. That flexibility turned a crisis into growth. The lesson for 2026, in an era of tariff threats and economic nationalism, the countries that survive are the ones that refuse to depend on any single customer, even the richest one. This is Macro Atlas. We cover the economic decisions that change nations. Subscribe to see what happens when policies collide with reality. Next week, how Norway's $1.7 trillion sovereign wealth fund is reshaping global real estate markets and why everyone is copying their strategy. Thanks for watching.